Your best idea yet is sex swings for the recording studio.
I mean, a hammock isn't going to work. A beanbag isn't going to work.
I've considered the beanbag.
Maybe. It's got to be one of those.
It's got to be one of those expensive shaped ones, though. It can't be like just the back.
I do like the big ball ones, but they're expensive. And it's got to be a very big ball, or it's just a seat. It's not a chair.
Why buy a comic that might cost more than a dime? Come meet the brothers who are here to waste your time. Welcome back to another episode of Dime Comic Bros podcast. We are your hosts tonight. Me, Jacob, hello. Joined by Spencer, him.
Sup, dude?
Wow.
Bruh. We
are not joined by Colin.
No.
The third smaller leg.
That's true. That is true. He is our dick.
Yeah.
He has his uses. Sometimes he's mostly shoved away inside someone's pants. And
mostly kept quiet until we need him.
Yep, and then or randomly pops up out of nowhere with a very strong opinion that no one asked for. He is a chode. He has chode-like tendencies. Yeah, I see division.
We are talking about one of his favorite books this week, Murder Falcon, written and arted by Daniel Warren Johnson and colored by Mike Spicer.
The spicy man.
The spicy man.
He
makes
man.
Spicy colors.
He
look
always
spicy.
He always makes the good spicy colors.
Ugh.
He's got a surprising range of stuff. I don't remember what it was, but I read some normal book by him that wasn't you know, and there was just normal art and normal colors.
Wow.
And I was like, oh, so he can just do normal colors. It's not only
Intriguing.
I'm making baby noises, apparently.
You're making the Colin noises.
I am. I have to conjure him. So yeah, it follows Jake, a guy, a dude. That's his personality. He's a guy and a dude who meets Murph, a bird, a big At some point, I'm going to have a stroke this episode.
I think you just did.
Probably. He is a murder falcon. He's a big bird. Except he honestly looks a bit more like an eagle. Maybe that's just me. But he's a big bird.
I don't think you know the difference between falcon and eagle.
I think he is the biggest bird. So he has taken my title from me. But
wow.
Yeah, I know.
It's the belt buckle, isn't it?
I was thinking the bandana. And the lack of eyes, you know? Just so mysterious. It adds size.
I love the metal wings he gets.
Yes, he gets his little angel wings. So he meets a bird from another dimension called the Heavy, which is a place, where there are weird things, and he's sent to help this guy out of his depression, basically. There's a big rift in the universe where the big bad goopy gooper man is gonna slither his bad fingies into the world and make everyone do chaos or something. And then they have to get the band back together with a bunch of his old friends, and then they get musical instruments from other dimensions.
I think all from the Heavy.
Yeah, there are different biomes of the Heavy. It's like Terraria. And then they do and then they defeat the bad guy with the power of friendship and metal, which is like the same thing.
It's interesting. I read the trade paperback of this story, and it's really interesting how the story runs together. They didn't chop up each issue in the book as they were printed. It's all just one continuous story, and then they put the covers at the end, and it really runs together very, very smoothly. I had a hard time picking out where an issue would start and end.
Yeah, I think that's part of the editor's job when they do the reprints, because there are some omnibuses have this problem bad where they don't include page numbers or issue titles or numbers, so then you have to just kind of try to count or whatever, or they'll change which page a book started on or whatever. In the chapters inside the reprinting, it's always really confusing. But I think here that definitely works out well. I think I've read other Image books that do that. I just don't remember what they are.
It works really well in this format because it's just 6 issues?
8.
8 issues. As opposed to an omnibus that's doing like 50 issues.
Right.
So, and a lot of omnibuses will be like, you have to have bookmarks in every chapter of this book to understand what's going on, whereas this is like, it's just a literal book that you read from front to back, and it's fun.
I don't think they could pull that off with Do a Powerbomb. I haven't picked up the trade yet. It is out. I don't think that would work quite as well because the book shifts tone pretty hard between each like issue, and there's some retreading of previous material for the first like page or so, which is weird for a Daniel Warren Johnson book. But I think it worked well to read issue by issue when we were reading it. I just don't think when they print it they'll end up doing that.
It's fun to have a fun metal book.
Yes.
Because I like metal. And metal has a bad connotation.
This is
true. And it's like, no, this book it's kind of just saying like, no, metal is fun sometimes though.
Yeah. That was the thing that stuck out a lot more on this reread. I haven't read it in like 9 months or so. I think since I originally picked it up. I had a bad copy that I had to get a new one of and blah, 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 blah. The end, like... The end, not premise, but like the final thesis is like that metal is for people still screaming into the void, even though they're all doomed to die. And it was like it didn't quite click as much on the first like read through, which is weird because I usually get really latched on to those sorts of things. But it actually built it up pretty well because the Jake's story is about like perseverance and not giving into like despair because. Plot twist, I guess, he has cancer, and that kind of fucked his life up real bad. So he's pretty depressive at the beginning of the book, and he's just kind of... He needs a good pick-me-up. So he gets a bird with a metal arm. I'm not sure if that would make me into it. It could put me in a better mood, but it would definitely change my mood.
The bird murders for him, though.
He does.
That would definitely help you.
Yeah, probably. I like watching murder.
Yeah. Especially when it's a bird with a metal arm. That
is true. That'd be so disturbing in real life. It was something that I think when we were discussing, the most comparable book is Do a Powerbomb. And I think I had brought up that I like that book more because the themes ended up kind of solidifying themselves better. But on reread, I think the two books might actually be more neck and neck now. I might not have been paying quite as much attention the first time around, or I was expecting more plot twists, and I got more emotional revelations, which Dan Warren Johnson always does really well.
Yep.
Where he's like, oh, you want a big thing to end the book, and instead of it being like and a bad guy is gonna blow up the planet, or like some stupid like contrivance or a ratcheting up of like the stakes or whatever. It's like, Lamau, your dad killed your mom. Oops. It's stuff like that. He'll just... The revelations are built up to be plot drivers, and then they're not. It's a pile driver into your emotions and stuff. I like those. I think it works very well in this book, more than I remember. I do think the cast is a little too big, though. This is still my major criticism.
In this book?
Yeah.
Yeah.
His band is a 5-piece? It's a 4 or a 5-piece. And again, the fact that I don't remember all of the other characters' names and what they play is kind of my point. It's like, I just reread this yesterday. And the only one I remember is Johann and his wife. And, like, that's it.
It gets ridiculous near the end when they get a big ol' orchestra following them.
That was
and,
great.
Like, a Swedish metal singer that comes up out of nowhere.
I think the Swedish metal band is a real band, and then he likes them, so he wanted to put them in his book.
It's funny, but it distracts from what's going on.
It does. Thankfully, by the end of the finale, the last few pages really do pull it back in.
Yeah. I was quite upset the first time I read it, and he just dies, and then that's the end. It's like, okay.
But he can like go possess a guitar or something.
The end, though.
It is the end. But the bird lives on in cameos in other books. The art is obviously the major standout here. It always has been. It probably always will be. Daniel Warren Johnson is a really good writer, but he is a phenomenal artist. That was a big breath.
Big train.
I like big trains. Oh, hell yeah. I love trains. Man, my autism just got activated by those trains getting close.
Anyway.
Is the train done?
It's gone.
Okay. The art is the main draw for the book, for sure. And I think the creature design is really where it shows off the most. The wide variety of fungusy, crab, lobster-looking monsters that the bad guy, Chaos Man...
Gojira.
Yeah, pretty much. Just throws into the real world is disturbing and very gross. Also, the scale is very big. Like, most of them are large. There's one of the smaller ones. It looks like kind of like a pill bug. And he sends it to Jake's apartment. And it's like almost as big as Jake. It just like it's a good example of the scale of the monsters that they're doing. And it surprisingly doesn't have like a big kaiju fight. I think he does need to do a kaiju book at some point though, because I
think this one counts.
It kind of does, but like it's a one-sided kaiju battle. So does it count? I think he should full deep dive into doing a kaiju movie.
You want him to make an Evangelion book?
No. But I do think it's definitely on his list of things he likes that he puts in all of his shit.
Yep.
Because, like, they're all big bug demon monsters, and they're so gross, and his books are so big scale when he can. And I think that'd be an interesting project. Something, I don't know what he'd build it around. It'll be like ballet or something, I don't know. But give him an excuse to draw more disgusting things.
It'd be based on. Let's figure this out.
See, this is the thing.
Economics of precious rocks.
Sure.
Described by the big freaking monsters.
See, that's the thing is I like kaiju. I hate almost everything kaiju related. I don't like most kaiju movies. I don't like the people who like kaiju movies. They're like the weird type of old dad dude bros where they're like, and they punch him in the face. They're so big.
And you can tell it's styrofoam. It's so funny.
Yeah, I don't get it. Despite having a long-standing history of like watching Godzilla as a kid, I like the stuff. I like the subgenre, but like the fans are weird. Mm-hmm. They're very strange. It's hard to describe them.
Not as strange as anime fans.
Well, yeah, that takes the cake. Easy. Maybe he does like Evangelion, and then maybe I think I've seen him do some sketches.
Really?
So
I was pulling it out of my ass.
I could see that. I could see some weird. I don't know, mech robot things. He'll just do Pacific Rim, but as a comic, basically.
Transformers.
I do like Pacific Rim. That's a good movie.
Weird.
Really?
You're like the only one that said that.
It's a Guillermo del Toro movie. Of course I love it. I'm obliged to. He's one of the Mexican homies. I gotta push for him. One of the homies is out there making the best movies. He's out. If one of the homies is a barber, I'm going to his place. If one of my homies is I was gonna say tax collector. I've been reading.
I thought you were gonna say taxidermist.
Yeah, if one of my buddies is a taxidermist, I'm going there to give him my dead cat. If one of the homies makes a kaiju movie, I'm watching his kaiju movie.
Are you done?
No.
How about one of the homies that made one of the best movies?
James Gunn?
Yes.
He is one of the homies.
Yes.
Yes.
And he made a good movie.
Yeah, this is the good movie.
The good movie?
This is one of the movies of all time.
Wow.
In parentheses, affirmative. Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3 was an extremely needed dive back into quality for the MCU as of late.
And it's gonna be the last bit of quality we see for a long time.
Shh, I have faith. I have some faith.
That's nice to hear from you.
Not much. Yeah, it's the third Guardians movie. The gang is together, except Gamora. She's not there anymore because she's dead.
Because the Russo brothers fucked it all up.
There's a lot of people talking about how much you could potentially view a lot of this movie as being like, maybe he rewrote it to like have an angle of critique at the Disney machine, and I do see it. I think they're probably putting too much stake in it, but I definitely feel like this movie got some rewrites after he was rehired. Because this was originally supposed to come out 2 movies after Endgame. And then just so much stuff happened and all of that bullshit. And I think it added an additional layer of cynicism, which he already has plenty of. Despite it being one of his more positive movies of his entire career. And it having a happy ending. I don't know, it's definitely a meta movie, in a sense. But it's good. It's just good. There's so much to talk about, but I have to emphasize, it is a good movie. It is a good Guardians movie. And it is a good MCU movie. Damn. We have had some good movies. Phase 4 had good stuff in it, but, like, it's so inconsistent.
Which tier is it?
Out of, the 4 tiers? I'm turning into Colin. I have my own rating system now. I don't like this.
Is it
Fuck.
A tier?
This is in top 5, probably, for the MCU.
What?
Definitely top 10, easy. Probably top 5.
Oh, easy top 10.
Yeah, maybe top 5.
Okay.
Yeah, so the Guardians go on an adventure because Rocket got hit real hard.
Rocket got oofed.
He did get oofed, and then they need to go find...
He sits on the sideline for a while and has all the flashbacks of the movie.
Yeah, and then they have to go find his
Maker.
His Thomas Edison to Rocket's light bulb. That's trying to do a thing there. It just isn't working.
Yeah, no.
Yeah, you got to go find the stuff so they can give him the good juice. They need to give him the happy fix all the problems button, and then because he's got little bits on him, they can't use it, and he'll die because he got hit real hard. He got. And then the rest of the movie is a kind of a convoluted fetch quest, but like it works pretty well on that level. And then they give him the good button, and then he feels better. And then they don't kill the bad guy, but they kind of kill the bad guy. Performances here are probably at their best across the board, I would argue.
I didn't really buy into Chris Pratt's performance.
I did.
I think I'm the only one.
I think this is the area where we actually have disagreement on this one, because I felt like him being so try hard and so like overly dramatic in a sense, despite there being literally life or death stakes, he was so guilt-ridden, for one, being drunk when Rocket got oofed, that like he couldn't have helped or done much, and the guilt with all the Gamora stuff and him being drunk for like years now. It feels like that guy in the friend group who knows everyone else has been carrying him for a long time, and then they try to cope really hard and prove that they're really important, even though they're not. It's me. He is literally me.
Are you protecting him? Because we're talking about Peter Quill here.
I'm speaking from some modicum of personal experience. I've seen that dynamic work.
It was just difficult because it was hard sometimes to tell if he was going all in on the bit and playing that part of the role, or if it was just kind of a lazy cash-in performance of like not really caring and just dropping his lines and deflecting. It's just
maybe
it's tough to tell because of the character that he's trying to play. It
definitely is, and I think a part of that is also because he doesn't have a lot of screen time in comparison to the other two movies, because this isn't really his story. He was the protagonist. He is the protagonist of all three movies by a structural sense. But like the B story was always Rocket was the interest point. It was the most James Gunn self-insert character. So it made sense that over time the balance would get shifted over, and especially since it probably had a lot to do with the Gamora situation.
Right.
There was probably some other story planned for them, and then the Rocket focus was kept, and then Gunn had to shift the other characters to accommodate that instead of trying to rewrite the whole movie, which makes sense. Because despite this movie having the most amount of like major changes behind the scenes outside of the literal, Edgar Wright left Ant-Man 5 minutes before they started rolling cameras type stuff, outside of the really big cases. This movie had a lot of external circumstances happen to it. Like, James Gunn was literally fired for like a year and then brought back. And then the movie was delayed 10,000 times. And then I think one of the main crew members had a kid. One of the main cast members might have had a kid. I might be thinking of somebody else, but I think Zoe Saldana had a kid. Maybe. Don't quote me. Like, a bunch of shit happened. And then Chris Pratt drama definitely impacted something here. And then, like, there's so much going...
Scientology.
No, thankfully.
I was close.
Sure. And then also, I'm sure Vin Diesel having to record his 3 lines per movie, and him and his Fast and Furious drama going on for years now is,
Can we blame The Rock, too?
We can blame The Rock for this,
just for giggles.
There's so much shit that's like, this movie shouldn't be good, but it kind of feels like the most genuine movie out of all of them, even though there are choices made by the studio ahead of time that he clearly didn't want to. He's, like, because the movie is kind of, if you squint, about punching the guy who owns all the intellectual properties because he keeps being stupid and fucking with shit. It's like, it's got that vibe where you're like, oh, so you made what you wanted to, even though you didn't actually make what you wanted to.
I was upset because there's a bit, it's a heist that they go on. They sneak into the Flesh Planet, which is disgusting, by the way.
That was really
so
weird.
Gross. Mantis and Drax have this funny bit where Mantis, like, touches a security guard that's like, hey, I don't like you guys. And then she, like, gets into his brain and is like, you are madly in love with Drax. And
same.
The guy then is madly in love with Drax. It was very, very funny. And then shit goes bad and everything's exploding everywhere. And it finally comes to a stop and everybody's, like, held at gunpoint. And I was waiting for the guy that was madly in love with Drax to come out and start firing back, like, to protect him. And it never came back. It was just held to a funny little bit. It felt like a huge missed detail, and it bothered me way more than it should have.
I see what you mean. I definitely see what you mean. I think you're being a little silly, being a silly little guy, but I do get what you mean. Adjacent to that point, this is kind of all spoilers, I guess, at this point. The Drax fake out in that moment was very good for me. I was very, holy shit, did they just kill Drax and then, like, not stop?
The balls. Like, the big hairy ball. Oh, he's not dead.
Yeah, like without fanfare. Like, they just killed him in an action scene and then it's like, oh, they didn't. But yeah, I appreciated that. And then they didn't turn it into a joke that he didn't die. It was just like, damn, he got fucked up real good.
Yeah.
And then they just keep moving. My other strong point from this movie, outside of the very obvious, all the stuff with Rocket was perfection and I have no notes, I really like how well they used Nebula. Her arc in Infinity War and Endgame was one of the ones that I liked the most out of those movies. It was very short runtime-wise, but I really like, 1, Karen Gillan, and 2, I like her role in these movies, as originally as an antagonist and then being, like, a reluctant co-star, and then now she's just, I like what they've done with her character. Also, she does have, like, the hentai arm, so that's something. But I like how they ended her character. They actually involved her in the team. Unlike Kraglin, who kind of has to exist in limbo, I think, as he is on the team, but also he is James Gunn's brother doing a cameo and everyone knows it. So it's like, how important can you make him on, like, a scene-to-scene basis? Because he's kind of a meme character. He has his own arc in this movie, which is nice. He also did last time, but, like, I think that's an intentional choice as to not get, like, accusations of nepotism, which makes sense, despite Hollywood being the most nepotism ever. So I think they pushed Nebula fully into the group, and I liked her quite a lot in this movie. She's got some of the best lines. She's got the best emotional beats. Her yelling at Drax hurt my feelings very much.
The ending.
The ending.
Where all the characters say their goodbyes. Mantis goes away with her beasts into the wild. She's a beast master now, straight out of Dungeons and Dragons. I find it hot. I'm curious to know where that goes. Gamora says goodbye and goes off with her pirate friends. Unfortunately, she's stuck working for Sylvester Stallone now. Peter Quill is stuck on Earth, and the end credits say that he will return, but he's in such a weird place. We'll talk about that in a second. Rocket and Groot are now the leader, the guardians of the galaxy.
He is the leader man.
And then Drax and
Nebula.
Yes, Drax and Nebula are like king and queen of Limbo now.
The platonic king and queen, but yes. I don't see that going anywhere. I think he's just too into Mantis.
How into Mantis?
Very into Mantis.
Okay. Peter Quill's on Earth with his great granddaddy now, or whatever. His pappy.
Which was a really funny bit. I think it's a nice way to end his arc, for sure. Like, I would have been fine with them just leaving him there and not putting up the Star-Lord will return. Like, if either, for some reason, Marvel is getting tired of Chris Pratt shenanigans, which isn't really that much, but, like...
I wish it had said the Guardians will return, because
that was the weird
way
thing.
More generic.
Which is true. Yeah, it's weird, because I think out of everyone that we saw, obviously, Rocket and Groot will come back at some point. That's just... They're like, the iconography of the team now, which makes sense. And Pratt said he would come back if the project was solid and it wasn't gonna, like, be weird for him, because him and Gunn are, like, friends. So he said, apparently on the press tour, like, I'll do more, but if it's not with him, like, I want it to not be, like, a paycheck job, which makes sense. So it does seem kind of weird that that's what they ended on, because also it's not really a Peter Quill movie. Last movie was, but this one's not. So it's like, why is that the hook, the tag at the end? It's just kind of weird. I like the bit with him with his grandfather talking about mowing the lawn. That was hilarious. But, like, I don't know. It's just kind of odd. I don't think we're gonna see anybody else ever again. I think it's gonna be, we'll see the people we saw in the post credits, and that's it. I think all the other people are done. I think Karen Gillan wants to grow her hair back now. It's been like 10 years of wearing wigs, because she actually shaves her head for these movies, which is insane. Zoe Saldana is very busy doing Avatar sequels forever.
That's too bad.
Nah, not too bad. You gotta watch Avatar 2, trust me.
Ugh.
Have faith. Trust the process.
Do I have to see Avatar 1 to understand Avatar 2?
Nope.
Alright, I'll try it.
Some of the jokes in the opening of Avatar 2 will be kind of weird, because they're very in-jokey, but other than that, no. The movie is fantastic. Trust me, on your TV, you'll love it. It's gorgeous. I will turn off the motion smoothing, because you cannot, for the love of fuck, watch that with your old man boomer TV setting where it makes all the things go wonky like you're watching sports. Cringe and gay. Anyways, I don't think we're going to see anybody else. I think it's just Peter, maybe, and then Rocket and Groot and Adam Warlock. Like, okay, they'll keep the dog, because good dog.
Cosmo's a good...
Am I insane,
good
or
dog.
did Cosmo not have an accent during the holiday special? Am I dumb? Because I don't remember that at all.
I don't remember.
Weird. I know
Cosmo definitely should have an accent, though.
Yeah, because she is a Russian space dog.
I thought Cosmo was a male in the comics.
I don't remember.
It threw me for a second when the good dog is...
No, it's a girl dog. It's so they
care.
can call her a bitch. It's just so they can make it one of those jokes at some point.
You're
I
terrible.
guarantee. It's true. Adam
The
Warlock.
point is, I don't care.
Yeah. My last note is Adam Warlock was very underutilized, and I love him very much. I would like to adopt him. He is now my child.
Are you gonna say the bit?
Mother. I don't understand why, but the way that they use the Sovereign in this is so funny. They're not in it that much, but it follows through on the plot threads from Volume 2. And then Adam Warlock is such a dork. Like, I like that they didn't try to go with the ultimate human messiah complex type version of Adam Warlock like they did in the video game. That was really cool for the video game, but I feel like it's too similar too soon, you know? So making him like a child was very funny, because on the one hand, Will Poulter got yoked for this movie, and then they put him in like 1,000 layers of armor. And then he's just like, ow, that hurt. It's so stupid. I love it.
Where did he end up?
He's on the Guardians, the new ones. He is under
right.
Rocket's guardianship. He has been adopted.
We're probably not gonna see him show up without them then, right?
I don't know. They could.
It seems like a really big character to bring in and then waste with like, we'll get back to Guardians in 15 years.
It's weird. It's weird because I know for a fact that the Infinity War and Endgame paths that were taken is definitely what threw this movie for the most loop, like behind the scenes as well, because of just all the different choices that were made that were not originally accounted for. And I think Adam Warlock is definitely one of those things because I'm pretty confident Gunn wanted him to be put in those movies. I think. Don't quote me. I don't know. I feel like you could. I wouldn't mind. It sounds like the actor is ready to play this guy forever because he's like, I don't know. People think I'm funny. This is cool. I'm the funny eyebrow guy, you know? I can't say that with a British voice. I'm sorry. Maybe. I really don't know. You could kind of throw him in anything, honestly. He's I think it would work best in comedic projects because he is OP as fuck, but like they established him as a comedic character primarily. He's a threat for the Guardians, but he's mostly funny. So I think it would be too power scaling problems, I think, because like that's the point of the character is he's supposed to be like hyper OP, mega super saiyan, undefeatable godman, but like the characterization is that he's a funny baby man.
So what you're telling me is he needs to be in a movie with Silver Surfer.
Well, yeah.
Aha! Fantastic Four, baby, let's go!
Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. I don't want Silver Surfer and Fantastic Four this early, but yeah. That would make an interesting movie with those two. Because then you could just have it be... That would be an actual buddy cop dynamic, too, even though neither of them are cops. Because this is the thing. Okay, Hobbs and Shaw. This is what pisses me off about Hobbs and Shaw. More than the fact that it's just bad and cringe, and it's the 80,000th Fast and Furious movie.
It's only the 12th.
I don't even know anymore. But it's because...
I chose a random number, and it was close enough to the truth that nobody wanted to fact check.
The buddy cop dynamic is a specific... It's not just there are two guys who don't get along who go on an adventure. It's a specific type of difference of viewpoints and mannerisms that you need to add. Like, because Hobbs and Shaw, it's just two... It's The Rock and Jason Statham just being... angry and wanting to kill each other. Like, that's it. That's not a buddy cop movie at all. You need to have your straight man and your funny man. So you need like your old wizened Silver Surfer played by Keanu Reeves, who's just like it's actually one of the very few fan castings of him that actually makes sense and wouldn't be like a meme role where it's like, wow, look, it's Keanu Reeves. Like, it'd be like, put him in like a mocap suit or whatever. And like you can just make him like an old wizened man, but he has the Drax literal.
He's
I don't get it.
standing in a green box, and the director says, "Remember the moves from Point Break."
True. I think it'll work. So he can just be like, I don't know why you keep calling everyone mother. You're being weird. And then Adam Warlock is like, because I have mommy issues, you dumb fuck. I don't know. There's something there. Because one is a baby man, and then the other one can be, like, not the baby man. I don't know.
No
Anyways,
idea.
I really like this movie. You mentioned that there might be some, not issues, but some...
I deny any of these allegations.
On rewatch, some of the impact might be lessened because...
Oh, absolutely. I was more concerned about, like, just how rewatchable it is in general. I mean, obviously the impact... is lessened because you know how it ends. You know, spoilers, that nobody dies. But with it being so flashback heavy and like so focused on the emotional beats, it's like once you've felt those emotions once, twice, your rewatchability kind of goes down quick.
Maybe.
I think.
It probably does, and it's definitely not quite as... I think the jokes hit harder when they hit, but there were more jokes that didn't land for me.
Yep.
Which, I don't know if that's a me thing or what, I don't know. But I can still watch Volume 2 and howl every time. I don't know. I definitely agree with you. I haven't watched it a second time yet, which is kind of weird for me.
I
Usually
am
by the
very
time we're
surprised.
talking about it on this show, I'm usually on a second or third viewing.
And we're like 2 weeks, 3 weeks into this.
Yeah, I'm going to.
Weird.
I just haven't been dying to. I've been able to dwell on it. It actually sticks in my brain enough where I feel like I can continue digesting it without intaking more of it. Unlike when I watched Black Adam, where I was like, I have to spit this out immediately, because if I don't, I'll forget it. And then I watched it like 5 times.
Will the humidity in the theater be so high that your eyes will be moist during the second viewing?
Maybe.
Your eyes may sweat during the second and third viewing?
They might. I don't know, because there was I ended up crying at the slightly less pinpoint spots where you'd kind of expect, I think, anyways. So I feel like it was just like the general tension and emotions being so high is what got me, not necessarily. And then this one beat happened, and then I died.
Wow.
Like, it was just like...
that was me.
It kept it running so high, where it's like any moment I could just die.
Nah,
You know?
there was just the one, and then the walls broke and the waters rushed, and then that was it.
That's fair. There are 2 moments where there are 2 very, very fantastic screams in this movie. It's my last point. I'm just going to skip over talking about the High Evolutionary entirely. 10 out of 10.
Which is not fair, because he deserves being
10 out of 10 no notes, but we're rambling so bad. There's Rocket in a flashback screaming at the High Evolutionary, and then there's Peter crying over Rocket flatlining. Those are some 2 gnarly ass screams in this movie.
And it's amazing because Peter's scream is in the trailer we've seen 100,000 times.
And we knew what it was gonna be.
Yeah.
And it still was really good.
Yeah.
It was, the way it just...
The way the spit sticks to his teeth.
It's that, you can't replicate that. That's like, they did 100 takes, and they're like, we have to use this one. There's spittle in his mouth. Like, come on. It's just something I really appreciated. Rockets especially was like... He was already half out of breath when he started screaming, so it's really awkward, and it doesn't end when you think it would. Like, the pace is weird, and that's what makes it feel so, like,
natural.
real. Because, it is still a CGI raccoon screaming.
But it's an ugly scream. It's not like a picture-perfect movie scream.
Yeah, it's not like when the camera pans above the person, and then they fall to their knees, and they're like, ah! You know, it's not that at all. I'm not sure what that was, that I just did.
It was terrible.
You know what I mean.
Speaking of screaming, should we talk about this week's episodes of Star Wars Visions?
Yes. So
episodes 3 and 4, In the Stars and I Am Your Mother.
So yeah, just one at a time, like you guys did last time.
Sort of. My only note, I want to smush them together. So
What?
Yes.
Gay.
You go first.
Fine. In the Stars was so aesthetically pleasing. The setting is really cool.
Can you recap it?
It's on a planet where the Empire has come and done cringe, and they're taking all the resources, and then we follow 2 sisters. And they're like, we need to blow up the Empire because they took our mother and stuff. And the digital claymation was so good looking. The music was fantastic. The color grading was really nice. It was actually really choppy in an intentional set. Like, they were going very large chunks per second of no frames, which I liked. And then the kids started talking, and I wanted to die. Because the kid, I'm sorry, the voice acting either didn't have good direction or the dialogue was bad, probably both, was so obnoxious.
Did you watch it in its original Japanese dub?
What?
I don't know.
These are all done by English-speaking studios.
Oh, were they? I didn't know that.
Yeah, no. Some of them are from other countries, but
Maybe
they're all...
you should have swapped it to Japanese and not understood a word they were saying.
Yeah, no. All of these were done by English-speaking studios, so there's no need to switch that around. And it just made me want to fucking die, and it was one of the longer ones, too. It was like 17 minutes, and that just drove me ballistic, because the kid's whiny, and the voice is whiny, and I don't feel like making fun of children very much, but holy shit, it ruined my enjoyment of this episode.
I think you're whining. What was the other one?
I Am Your Mother was done by Aardman.
Mother.
Whatever. And Aardman is my favorite stop motion claymation studio ever. They're British, so they're weird.
They drink tea.
All of the characters they make are ugly as shit because British people have a good sense of humor about how ugly they are. And I love this episode so much. It's really fun, and it is very nonchalant and goofy, and it's about a Twilight girl going to fighter pilot school under the New Republic, I think. And there's like it's like a daddy-daughter dance, but it's like a family race day. And then she's like, Mom, you're too cringe. We won't do this. And then her mom goes anyways.
I do remember this now.
Yes. And then they win the race, because of course they do. And it's about learning to like appreciate your parents and blah, blah, blah. One of the other ships had like a little Death Star looking like gun on it. And it's like, this is very silly. Wedge Antilles is talking about going to his merchandise store. You know, it's very silly. But like, I love Aardman's animation. Their quirky sense of humor really gets me. I love it.
All right. My one and only note was that I didn't like the animation of the first one because it worked. It felt split in what it wanted to do. The characters and most of the environment was trying to be old school claymation that moved very choppy or choppily. It was very choppy claymation, or maybe digital claymation trying to look old school. But there was so much water in the environments through the whole episode, and the water was moving at a really high frame rate while the characters were very choppy, and it broke my brain. It looked bad.
I didn't see that exactly, but something did feel weird there.
I just didn't look
at it that much.
And then the second one had very good claymation or digital claymation. It looked great. It immediately made me think of like old Wallace and Gromit VHS tapes that I watched as a kid.
You see? It's because it's literally Aardman.
Is it? It's yes. The same guys?
I don't know if it's the same crew. It's the same company. It's. I didn't know. Nope. Wallace and Gromit, Shaun the Sheep.
Yeah.
That's their current ongoing thing, I guess.
Gotcha.
And then
very good.
It's so pretty. They didn't have too many British jokes, but
consistent.
Yes. They're really good at doing like not slapstick exactly, but like it just environmental like goofy humor where it's like, and then a bra fell from the sky, literally like a bra falls from the sky.
I remember.
That's so funny. It just
right before Mom lands, it fell through the sky with a whole bunch of other laundry because it was Mom's ship as she was about to land. It's like, oh, that's my laundry in the sky. The kids, whatever.
Yeah, I like that. I like the baby Wookiee playing with its toy and like ripping the arms off. It was cute. Also, watching the Wookiee student, like the girl's friend, and that because just the way that Aardman does proportions is so weird. Mm-hmm. I love it. They're so fucking weird. And then he did a normal like Wookiee like yell that we've heard 1,000 times. Yeah. And for some reason, the disparity between what the character looked like and the noise was hilarious. I don't know if it was supposed to be, but like just the way that they made the Wookiees look was like they're like derpy and dopey, and then it's just like it just did the whole thing. And I was like, wow, it was weird. I don't know.
You do your Wookiee noise weird.
Yeah, because I don't remember how to do it right now, and my hearing is currently very screwed up. So like everything is screwed right now.
Wow. Best anime ever?
No, but I think so far the first 4 is better than the first 4 last time around. On average, anyways. So None of these were, I would say, bad.
Yeah, none of these have been painful. And there were definitely some painful ones from the first season.
The third one got close just because the kid was driving me so insane. But at least there was some strong visual effort that I could appreciate. The first 4 episodes last time were literally like top, bottom, immediately. This one's like definitely good. Very like good and very good and then like fine. So hopefully this continues for the rest of it.
Yeah.
We were talking about when we weren't recording. I mentioned that I think on the whole I'm going to appreciate this round of shorts more than last time. Not just because they're not anime, but because completely opening up the animation industry as a whole to just, we chose 9 studios of any type of animation to do their own shorts rather than 9 anime studios, which are specific, like it's a pigeonhole. I think just the variety is going to naturally lend itself to a better level of quality here. Just because there's so much more. And also it's just a good like ecosystem to be in where Lucasfilm can like, it's not like these studios are small. I know a lot of their names, but like they can bolster slightly smaller places to do stuff and like Imagine having a Star Wars short on your resume and you've worked at like a dorky kids animation studio. Like, that's cool, you know? It just seems like a good thing for the industry or whatever.
On a completely different note, I just pulled up Instagram, and Silent Planet has a post about a new video being released, and someone commented, any idea when you'll be touring again? And they responded, the new era will bring shows, and they have like a star flying through the air that kind of looks like the More You Know logo, and it's like way to be a pain in the ass, but I kind of like it.
That's funny. Now I'm going to go look at it.
It's annoying. I want Silent Planet on tour again. You know what else is annoying? I read Suicide Squad Volume 3, Burning Down the House. This is part of the Rebirth run of Suicide Squad. It's written by Rob Williams. I've talked about the first 2 volumes. In between Volume 2 and 3, there was the Justice League versus Suicide Squad, or Suicide Squad versus Justice League, or whatever it was. I don't know. I accidentally read that way out of order.
Silly boy.
I read that collected book before reading the Rebirth run, but I didn't revisit it after reading the Rebirth run because I mostly remember how it goes. Anyway, this volume of Suicide Squad sees them fighting of course Goodreads doesn't have the name of the team. The Anti-Suicide Squad. I don't know what they were called. It was just a bunch of freaking no-name characters that I've never heard of, and they were annoying, and the Suicide Squad beat them eventually. And Amanda Waller's a mean old bitch, and she dies.
Sure.
But not really.
Yeah, no.
I don't know. It kind of felt like nothing. It was more annoying because the art in the book went from really good to really bad because half of it was done by a guy. Hang on, I gotta pull this up. This is important. Don't touch me there. Blinding light, close your eyes.
I want you to keep all of that. That was fucking hilarious.
So like half of the art was penciled by Eddie Barrows, and I liked that.
His stuff is pretty solid.
But then the other half was penciled by John Romita Jr.
Oh, I'm sorry.
And it was so choppy of like good page, bad page, good page, bad page.
That is my least favorite strategy is when it's like if it's only two artists that have to work on a single issue. I hate when they just alternate pages. I like it when they do that with like issues is fine. If you have to break, like if you're just too busy. I thought that's
what was happening here, but flicking through it now, maybe I was wrong. But
like, that's a JRJR page if I've seen one.
You can clearly tell when it changes artistic.
Their art styles have nothing in common.
No, it's horrible.
I'm so sorry. That's really rough because
sometimes Harley Quinn looks great. It's a good-looking Harley Quinn, like the one on the cover, and then it's really bad, and you can tell that JRJR was just horny and wanted the big boobas to drown in, and it's horrible.
That's so weird. I'm not the biggest fan of Eddie Barrows. I think most of his stuff that I would have looked through was the New 52 Nightwing, I think, and it was fine, but like those two have nothing in common. I do find it really weird when you'll have like normal drawn stuff, and then there's like these. Yeah. Which is weird. Yeah. Those are his. That's just weird. Like, they're very pretty.
Sometimes it's heavily digitized, like airbrushed, and sometimes it's penciled, and sometimes it's shit.
That's so bizarre. I need to find some of these booby panels for it. Never mind, I found them.
I try really hard not to call out like terrible, awful things and like praise people for things we read and watch, because I am not in the field and I don't make stuff for money.
No,
and
I couldn't.
These guys do.
I couldn't do art even half as good as JRJR. At least his is kind of coherent most of the time. If you squint, you can tell who everyone is. You know, he knows left from right. He can sequence panels correctly. You know,
this was a rough 20-minute read.
That sucks.
But I got the run in trade paperback from one of Jetpack's, I think, Christmas sale?
Yeah, I think so. I think it's still going on, but
it was like buy one, get one free. So
wow.
It's normally a $17 trade, and I got it for half price. So wow.
That's not bad. I've heard some weird things about that run. I've heard a lot of the quality, when it's good, but also it's one of the only Suicide Squad runs where, like, they just don't kill anybody because, like, the main team is, like, the iconic team now, which is really weird.
There's 8 of these trade paperbacks, and I'm probably going to start doubling down and doing 2 at a time.
Hell yeah.
To get this over with.
Hell yeah, brother. I read something entirely different. Doctor Strange, not Doctor spelt out, but DR period Strange. Surgeon Supreme, Under the Knife. This was originally supposed to be an ongoing run, and it got canceled. So it's only one trade, which is...
Can I be under Rachel McAdams' knife?
No. That's my job. So this was the 2019... This was like the 2019 like full relaunch like of the run. It was a new status quo with Doctor Strange having his fingies, you know, correctly functioning again. And going back to like medical practicing, but I don't know if the sales were just that bad or it didn't review well, because this got canned very early. It started in December 2019 and ended in August 2020. So it was going through like American lockdowns. They kept going, which I don't think is reflected in the book at all, which I appreciate. But like it still got canceled, so it's really weird. But yeah, Steven has healed hands. His magic is not as good anymore because he has to relearn how to do shapes and stuff, you know, because of how the magic works. The muscle memory is different, but he can go back to practicing medicine. So he is working kind of per diem at a hospital to deal with things only he can do. If anyone else can do it, he won't go near it. But if it's some...
Oh, so he's got Dr. House syndrome.
Yes. So it's some random... Only this one surgeon can deal with it. He'll deal with those cases. So there's an attempt at a work-life balance. Man feels like Peter Parker. It's real weird. He has like an assistant at the hospital who helps him sort through cases and stuff. Some of the more interesting parts there is when the two lives cross paths and say...
The fuck word.
An old colleague / old superhero comes back from the dead and now works at the hospital, and he's like, I don't remember any of what happened. I'm just here now, but I remember you. I don't know. I'm not a bad guy, I swear. And like that doesn't go anywhere, which is cool because it's about Steven learning to like trust people and stuff. But that one definitely felt like that was a plan for the run, and I don't think there's been any follow-up on that since then. The only other ongoing after this one that I haven't read is the Strange Academy run, which is like Steven started a school that he teaches at part-time. I think he's the headmaster technically. Where so like a lot of the magic characters go to that run, so they don't have to have ongoings, and then they teach a bunch of kids, which I've heard good things about. I just haven't finished. So maybe something's followed up on there. These were running at the same time, but I don't know. Yeah, so he has a like an armory place, so like a magic place where he can make the magic shit, and there are people like the Wrecker, who, you know, his magical Asgardian crowbar has gotten upgrades. So they're demolishing whole city blocks and whatnot, you know. Normal petty crime is getting escalated, and he's like, where are they getting all this cool shit from? It turns out, basically, someone has been stealing from him under his nose and making weapons in his own forge. The twist villain is really fucking lame. I'm very disappointed. It's Madame Mask, and it's like... Why? In this own book, it's like, aren't you... They basically say, like, don't you have an obsession with Iron Man? Aren't you, like, don't you want to fuck him so bad? Like, why are you here? And then her convoluted explanation is just lame. It's really disappointing because I wasn't like hoping for some crazy twist. It really took the wind out of my sails when the book then, one, has to address the Avengers, and two, address Iron Man, and then be like, this isn't even really a Doctor Strange villain, and not in a unique or interesting way where it's a contrast or whatever. She's just crazy. Very disappointing on that front. The character interactions are all very solid otherwise. As I've mentioned a few times, character voice is really important for me. It's a very vibes thing, but this book has it in spades. Most Doctor Strange books do, to be fair. That's like that's one of the reasons why it's my favorite. One of my favorite characters is because it's always consistently, at least he's good in the book. Other stuff might be ass, but someone is putting in the work in the writing department. So that's cool. Most of the art is pretty good. It's done by Kev Walker, and then covers were by Phil Noto. The covers are all really nice. I don't like Phil Noto's interior art, so I was glad it was just the covers. But Kev Walker, I've not encountered for anything else at all, so this is cool, new exposure. Ooh, new stuff. I like the way that he does spells and demons and monsters and stuff. I don't like the way he draws the normal day-to-day like hospital setting. It feels really Family Guy? Not like because they look like Family Guy characters, but because like the vibrant the tone is really bright. The depth of field is pulled back. There's a lot less detail work put into the characters. I don't know entirely why. Maybe it was a time thing. It's not like it looks bad. It just, there's something about the vibes that don't work with me. But the action art is gorgeous. There's a lot less magic from Strange than normal because he can't do magic as well. So he has to like pull some sneaky bitch shit and then pulls like a sword out of his ball sack or whatever. You know, stuff like that. Just random creative uses of magic. I bought it for about $10 on Amazon. My one big complaint with that is that there's a big crease in the back cover. And I don't know how to fix that because I don't have a steam iron. That's apparently one of the only ways to fix those sorts of things is to like iron the book out, and I don't have that. Other than that, it was definitely worth the money. I'm kind of chipping away at Doctor Strange like mini-series books right now because they're all pretty cheap. I think cover price is $17-ish, 16 to 18. That's the normal Marvel trade price. It's good. I'm kind of sad it got canceled. It ended in a decent spot, so it's not like... It definitely feels like they were told that they had to wrap the book, so they just made it one. But on the spine, it does have the little one on it, so someone didn't get the memo that they weren't going to make more. Because that does happen. I've noticed with a lot of Marvel books, especially when it gets canceled... and the team knows about it, they'll end the run, and then the book gets a new name afterwards. It'll, instead of just being the issues of this book, like they'll make sure it has a separate subtitle so it looks like a mini-series, which makes sense. I wouldn't say it's a good jumping on point exactly, but like it's solid. It's not overly complicated. It's fun to look at. It was good to read. Mark Waid's writing is really consistent. I completely forgot to mention who wrote it. Mark Waid is one of the longest running Doctor Strange authors. I think mostly miniseries, but he did a couple of ongoings. He's just a very consistent writer. Mark Waid's just like a good writer in general, so that's nice. Recommend? Yes. Not much beyond that, I think.
Do you know what else we recommend?
Going to our Patreon at patreon.com/dimecomicbros network. If you give us money, because we're greedy, you can get stickers, bookmarks, get your name shouted out every episode. You get early access to all of our podcast episodes, as well as exclusive access to Dime Comic Bros and Dime Gaming Bros Happy Hour, which we record after pretty much every episode of either show, where we just shoot the shit, talk about random stuff. Sometimes it's birds. Sometimes it's about random nerd crap. It could be anything under the sun, whatever floats our boats. That is exclusive to our Patreon because I said so. Give us money.
You also get artworks done by Colin if he does them.
He's working on those. That was apparently, last time I spoke to him, the project he was currently working on was getting those the little thingamabobbers done. So wow. We'll see how that turns out.
That is good.
So yes, we owe a shout out to Caitlin and Jeff Lawrence. Thank you very much. And I just want to throw in this because I feel like it.
We're going off script.
I know.
This isn't in my script.
Jeff is relaunching his current comic book at the moment. He's remaking it, republishing it, and I'd say remastering is probably an accurate way to put it. Skin in My Teeth, issue 1, he's working on it. It's a Kickstarter campaign, so he can get nice prints and stuff. It's really cool. We've, I think, mentioned it offhandedly here and there when the original run started coming out. He's been working on. He's a buddy of ours, and he gives us money. But if you want to go check out his Kickstarter, I'm going to put it in the episode description because I think it's really cool. I think it looks fantastic, and I want to give him money so he keeps doing more of it. I'm a really good ass kisser, I promise.
Speaking of ass kissing, we need to kiss the ass of Jetpack Comics and Games in downtown Rochester, New Hampshire.
I ain't kissing Kyle's ass. That's gay.
I really want to avoid bringing up his name like every episode.
But we're friends!
Jetpack has all of your comic and gaming needs.
And wants. And desires. They have access to anything you want through the internet. They'll order stuff for you. That's where we get most of our books. That's where I get all of my ongoing comic issues. They're cool. We like them. Give them your money. But put a little note on it that says it's from us. Don't write on the money because apparently that's illegal or whatever. But like... maybe fold your money into like an origami swan and then put it on a sticky note that says it's from us.
Yeah. I like that.
Yeah. Yeah. Next week is going to be the news. There's been some fun stuff lately, so that'll be fun to discuss.
I'm not going to be a part of it.
No!
Maybe. Did we work that out? I think we're doing it Monday.
I don't remember.
I don't remember. Maybe I am a part of it.
We'll see. As well as episodes 4, 5, and 6, I can count, of the current volume of Star Wars Visions, and we are getting very close to Secret Invasion, so looking forward to that.
Tune in next week, please.
And thank you.